Good morning from the beauty of what is a truly magnificent African dawn. My name is James Hendry. On camera we have Brian, and you are on a very live morning safari. And I'm sitting up here in a tree for the leopard's eye view of quarantine clearings, where Karula has spent the last few days eating on an impala and its unfortunate fetus. We drove past the carcass, and the carcass is still there, but the leopard is not. So I've come and sat in this tree to see if I can get a better view, and shortly we will drive around the clearings and see if we can't find her and see what she's doing. I suspect she's either lying under a bush somewhere, or perhaps headed down to the water to have a drink, but we'll see just now. For the meantime, remember, you're on a live safari. We want to hear from you. Hashtag Safari Live if you're tweeting away like some of the guinea fowl on the clearing, or questions at WildEarthTV if you'd like to email us. Scott is on the other car. He's with VM, and they're going to head across to Arathusa and see if they can find some wild dogs. In the meantime also, Drone Commander Andrew Francis will be taking his drone around, and if we can get it right, we might give you some aerial shots of this magnificent dawn that has broken here on the western fringes of the Kruger National Park. For what it's worth, at least not for what it's worth, for now, that's it, and let's go and see what wonders and adventures we can have for the next 3 hours. Brian, I'm coming down the tree. Here I come.
Bravo, bravo.
Bravo. Here I am. Fear not, Brian. I didn't injure myself. Just a small broken ankle, but that can be taped on. Well, I don't feel that you're sufficiently amazed by my tree climbing skills there. I'm not a large man. I mean, it's my tree. Here comes the sun. That's just so stunning. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, I need to put my ear in. Oh wow, that's one of the best ones we've had. Just covered in a little decorative spray of summer clouds that threatened rain yesterday, but the weather report indicates that there will be no rain today. Of course, there's a 50-50 chance of that happening, and it's a very kind of pleasant 20 degrees Celsius or 71 degrees Fahrenheit at the moment. Morning like this, a deep breath is in order to calm the spirit, rejuvenate the soul. So, the leopard was basically behind me. Brian, you have a praying mantis sitting on your camera. There he is. And we will drive around the clearing in the hope of spotting her. She may have moved on. I mean, she's been there for some time now, this little praying mantis. Right, off you go. Go and find something to eat. And so she has been here for two days now, and so she hasn't been marking territory. There she is. Is that a hyena? No, it's a hyena track. No, that's a leopard. Right, there's a leopard track on the road here. It seems to be driven over, which I think is quite interesting. See that, Brian? Oh, of course it would have been there, because somebody's come there. 4 pads, obviously, just like your house cat or just like your dog. No claws, just like your house cat, and a very neat back pad. Very neat. 1, 2, 3 lobes at the back, and completely unlike a hyena, which is much sort of more exploded. Oh, here it is. Here is the offending fecal matter. It's already been driven over. It will be sitting on the tyres and tread of the Mahindra on which the tracking team, aka Brent Leo Smith, is now driving around on. The Mahindra would have come past here very early morning with no light at all. So that's why they wouldn't pick those up. Alright, so it seems to me she's headed off in this direction. Let's just drive slowly and see if we can't pick her up. I suspect that she will come back eventually to the kill. Off in an northeasterly direction from the eastern edge of quarantine clearings. I'll try and follow up. Here, we'll drive very slowly. Those tracks to me look like they're from last night. I don't think they're from this morning, simply because they're not that distinct. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, we're going to go across to the drone and I'll keep talking to you, but just have a look at this unbelievable picture. Hello Steffi.
Hello Steph.
The drone is live, we're talking. Leopard tracks go down there.
Sorry about
No, it's my fault. Isn't this just wonderful? So that was Steph who was in the car. Steph's doing various bits and pieces. We're gearing up now for Big Cat Week, which is very exciting. Steph, of course, is our operations manager, as well as being a fine presenter and all-round great gentleman, really. Isn't that a most magnificent picture? An incredible orange sunrise. And you can see where we all live. I'm not sure exactly the orientation of your picture at the moment, but the direction that you're flying towards is where Brent and Jamie and Scott and Nikki and Eugene live, and then behind where you're flying is the FC, and well, you can see us, I'm sure now. That's wonderful. Alright, you're going to come back onto the car now. Welcome back everyone. I'm just going to quickly get hold of Scott. I think he's still around the area and we'll just see if we can get an update from him. Wasn't that a spectacular picture? Scott, go ahead with that message again, please. No, negative. Still both animals in the tree. Right, so we'll follow now, see if we can't pick up dear old Karula down towards the dam. Keep an eye out for that. What she'll be resting in or on will be a termite mound, or possibly under a thick piece of bush like this over here. That kind of thing, where she'll be undisturbed. She may also have crossed lightly over the road and I haven't seen it and gone back, but we did check the kill this morning and didn't see any sign of her there. So we'll head down towards the dam. I mean, this sunrise gets better and better. Yeah, here she is. So here are her tracks again, now towards the kill. See that? There you can see them, they're going back up the other way. So I suspect, I don't know if there was anybody watching the Djuma Dam cam the whole night. Certainly you'd have had to been watching through a very specific time and zoomed in on that pan. But I suspect she went down and had a drink. These to me look a lot more distinct and fresh than the other ones. So let's try and follow and see where these go. This is very exciting. And just, I cannot tell you, the atmosphere out here is so beautiful with the sunrise. I keep saying sunset. Of course it's the other one, Brian, that's the one that goes down. Stations, tracks of this animal return from Djuma Dam heading north straight into the clearings. Follow up there. So the other thing that you might like to look at is there's actually some lightning off to the western side. I don't think that's going to affect our drive. I think that lightning is well over the mountains, but you can see there's some pretty big grey clouds there. You may just see the odd flash as I stare at the ground, hoping to find a track of the Queen of Djuma. Right, let's head across to Scott. I've got another track here. We'll head across to Scott, and next time I see you, we'll hopefully have some good news. Enjoy this magnificent morning with him.
Hello everyone, and welcome on board with myself and Vim on camera. If you haven't met me before, my name is Scott, and it's a great pleasure to be on safari with you. Now, what we're doing is we've just arrived onto our boundary with Arathusa, and this is a long straight road called Triple M. On the right hand side is Arathusa, one property that we can traverse, and the other one is Djuma. And we've come into this area because there's a pack of wild dogs that's been lurking here yesterday. Some of you who were on the sunset safari with Brent last night may have been very, very close to seeing this same pack of wild dog, and let's hope that they get located. I can hear the guys looking for them desperately. They cover huge distances in very short spaces of time, so never an easy job, but while they are around, it's going to be worth our while to try and get into an area where we may be lucky enough to see them. So just to give you an idea where I am in comparison to where you are watching that lightning with James from the quarantine clearings. The quarantine clearings are about 1.5 miles directly to my left, and we are kind of between where James was and the lightning. So that gives you an idea of where we are on the map, and isn't it an absolutely incredibly beautiful morning? And so happy to hear that you've already been on a flight, an aerial view of the sunrise. And it's such an awesome addition to our team. I know Andrew, who's piloting it, is having a lot of fun, and Jamie's assisting him. Some elephant tracks on the road here. It's going to be tricky to see them now that I've turned off because the lighting isn't perfect. And once the sun gets a little bit higher, you'll probably be able to see them more clearly. I sadly also lack a monitor, so I have no idea of what VM is filming. But I'm told that you can see a few tracks. There's also some giraffe tracks dotted in and around the elephant tracks. And tracking is a critical part of finding animals out here. The bush is quite thick, and without following footprints of animals, you will have a lot of quiet drives and not find too many animals. Because there are quite a few elephants around, we're not going to start tracking them, and I can see from these tracks that the elephant actually was heading in the opposite direction, and so was the giraffe. But still, very important to keep kind of on track in terms of what's going on in a general area, even though we're heading in the opposite direction to these tracks. Now, we could loop around and head back into this area a little bit later if we don't have any luck with the wild dogs. Doesn't sound like there's too many other vehicles out on Djuma this morning, so it's just James and myself searching for now, but I'm sure people will get up at some stage and join in on the action, and that will help us because it's more eyes and ears on the ground, and we need that to try and work out what's going on. None of us are in the area of where the Birmingham boys were last night, a coalition of 5 male lions. They were on the northeastern corner of Djuma, and I'm guessing they would have crossed out of the property, but you can never be certain. So that's all merely speculation for now, and they could be around. Some of you would have been lucky enough to see them yesterday evening. There's a little road just up ahead of us where we're going to be turning onto Arathusa. Still no clear sign of where exactly they are. Only now that I'm getting a little bit closer towards Arathusa What's that? Okay. I think I just spotted this elephant on our right, and it was as I spotted some up ahead of us. So lots of ellies around. And even though the tracks on the road indicate that there are elephants heading in the opposite direction, if you maybe pan across onto the road, there's a huge herd about to cross. Look at this. A wall of elephants. Look at how close together they all are. And maybe that's because there's some youngsters, maybe they're feeling a little bit uneasy. I'm really looking forward to getting a bit closer to this herd. It could well be the same herd that Brent spent quite a lot of time with both yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon. Oh, and an impala just ran across in the opposite direction. We're going to leave this bull over here. He's a young bull. And well done to VM for spotting him. I think it's going to be our best bet to try and catch up with that massive herd that's just crossed the road. Just going to update the guides on Arathusa that I'm popping into their property. Excuse me. And also that there's a herd of elephants that have popped in for a visit. Morning guys, Makulu, Klampa and Glove, heading towards Red Dam Road over Triple M. This is going to be fantastic. They are making their way straight towards us, and what I'm going to try and do is position the vehicle in a spot where they've got enough time to decide how close they want to come to us, and that way, if they are in a good mood, they could stream around us on either side of the vehicle. Never an easy choice as to where exactly to stop. I think let's stop here. This is going to be awesome. It's a little bit thick initially, but we are going to get some great views eventually. They are highly mobile towards us. And now that we've stopped, hear all the birds around us. You'll probably even be able to hear their footprints crashing down onto the sand. One big cow's having a quick snack on this knobthorn acacia just in front of us. She looks quite heavily pregnant. They are such calming animals when they're in a good mood like this. Well, the morning appears to simply be getting better and better. And couldn't think of a better way to be spending the morning than with all of you guys on safari. Please remember that it is a live safari if you are joining for your first time. So send us through questions, comments, your thoughts. I haven't been able to count, but I'm going to try quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I know Brent saw a herd of about 35 yesterday. I'm on roughly about 19. Why don't we all count together? I think 20 is about to come onto the road. 22, a youngster at the back. 23, got a big mummy with the baby behind, almost holding onto its mother's tail. 4, 25. 26, 27, 28, 29, here they all come. 30, 31, 32, 33. So I'm fairly certain that this is the same herd that Brent did in fact see yesterday. I'm not too sure why they are moving so quickly. This is interesting. They're almost running off now. Tails held up. What do they know? Could they be communicating infrasonically with other elephants? It is possible. Now the bush is quite thick, so I'm not going to be able to stay with them, but I'm hoping if we just give it a moment or two, we'll be able to try and work out what is going on. What I mentioned and touched on very briefly earlier, you can hear them trumpeting, so a little bit worked up. And they can communicate with other elephants in an audio that's inaudible to our ears. Keep an eye out for lightning out in the distance there. I just saw some flashing a bit earlier, straight down this road almost. But basically, elephants can communicate through very low frequency vibrations that travel through the earth. They're inaudible to our ears. But in a scenario like that, they may be picking up information from elephants maybe 20 or 30 miles away, very big distances possibly, and then responding to it. So that's maybe why they got a little bit worked up. That's all I can kind of attribute to it, unless they've been unsettled or unnerved by something like 5 male lions, the Birmingham boys, or a pack of wild dogs that have been harassing the elephant populations that are in and around Djuma and Arathusa at the moment. Okay, well, sadly they've headed straight into this block where it's going to be close to impossible to follow them. But the general direction of movement may take them to a spot where we can get another view. I'm just going to loop ahead here. Also bearing in mind that they are a little bit worked up, we will be factoring that into our equation. They were completely relaxed with us, but as that last kind of portion of the herd started to cross the road, they started looking a little bit nervous, holding their tails out horizontally, not too sure that what it could have been though. Didn't seem to be us, which is good news. You do not want elephants to be in a bad mood with you. For obvious reasons, they are ginormous. Dyker just came flying across the road, a small antelope. I'm not sure if you guys got a glimpse of that. Try and get a little bit further ahead, and then we'll maybe stop and wait for these elephants. Well, speaking of interesting elephant behavior, like we witnessed a bit earlier, we've got Mr. Moustache. Good to have you. I haven't heard your name before, Mr. Moustache. Good to have you on safari with us. Mr. Moustache would like to know if elephants will ever yawn. And they will. Most animals yawn, Mr. Moustache. So that's the good news. You may have just heard the elephants' trumpets again. Just off to our right. So I think we are going to be in a good spot to get another view of them. And yes, Mr. Moustache, elephants do yawn, but you very seldomly see it, and because they physically cannot open their mouths very wide, it's difficult to know when they are actually yawning. It's the same with the animals like a warthog, who don't have mouths that can open as wide as the big cats' mouths and hippos' mouths. And when you see them yawn, it's this tiny little... They can only open this tiny little gap. So you do see it from time to time, but not that often. Well, we're in luck. Oh, here comes this youngster trundling in high speed. And they've popped into this little open clearing. Perfect timing for us to enjoy another view. And the other good news is there's a little puddle of water just behind the vehicle, so they could get involved with that. Good question though, Mr. Moustache. It's not something that you commonly see, but they will certainly have the ability and yawn from time to time. I guess that big trunk dangling over their mouth is also another reason why it's going to be difficult to notice them yawning. Well, I've got good news. I know you guys were searching with James for Karula a little bit earlier, and it sounds like he's found her on the move.
Drone, please. Right, we've found her, everybody. Wonderful news. She's just heading towards the tree where the kill is. She's unfortunately about to have a morning toilet right next to it. There we go. Let's see what she does. Oh, this is going to be great. And then we might get that incredible lightning that's been going just below here. And you can possibly hear the drone. She hasn't reacted to it at all, which is wonderful, but unfortunately the camera is not such that we can actually see her with it. Oh, here we go. Peter, she's at the tree, so just come along the western fringes and then up the road towards the fireside chat. Come on, old girl. Isn't she lovely? Look at the colours in that shot. Gold and black and white with that incredible grey behind the clouds. Beautiful ebony of the jackalberry tree, which is also known as an ebony tree, and the new fresh green foliage on it. Oh, that's just beautiful. Perfect little breeze coming out of the northwest. Ah, take a deep breath, Ryan. It's just so special. There we go. And that's Peter Pretorius coming into sight. He's driving some journalists, and oh, Nicky Olsen. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. That's astonishing. That's how I suppose how you're supposed to climb a tree, hey Brian? More elegant than my effort this morning. I'm just going to move very slightly, just to get a look at her face. Very slowly forward. There we go. Thank you. The Pinky swear in Michigan. You say that my tree climbing got a 10 out of 10 today. Thank you. Well, I have to tell you, getting up there, I didn't look anything like as elegant as the Queen of Djuma as she climbed up that ebony tree. She's now onto, I mean, this is a bit grim, everybody. Perhaps you're a first-time viewer or a new viewer and you haven't been following for the last little while. Karula killed, she's an 11-year-old leopard, she killed a female impala, and of course all the impala are pregnant. That she's eating now is the fetus of the impala she killed, which is obviously pretty sad and pretty grim, but unfortunately, you know, that's just the way it goes. Out here, she has to eat, of course, and all the impala are pregnant, and very excitingly, they are going to start producing little babies very soon indeed. I will try and move again and get a picture of her where she's eating. I'm just going to go on the side here. first aid. Now, it might look like she's completely comfortable, but it's the skill involved in what she's doing there, in moving that kill around. Certainly the adult was at least as heavy as she is, probably more so, and the skill involved in balancing that thing. It's not like a dining room table up there. It's a very kind of slippery, awkward place to be hanging your meal. And the skill involved in holding it there and eating it there, not dropping it on the ground so that the hyenas will grab it and take it away, is just remarkable. Alright, we're just going to quickly go and have a look at Scott and his magnificent elephant herd, and we'll see you back here right now.
Perfect timing. This is the last portion of the herd. They're heading straight towards us. A young bull. Hello, boy. He came charging up to us with a lot of purpose. Well, good timing with you guys and James and the leopard. It's all happening this morning. And we're just going to keep you with these elephants for one last view of them. I fear they are heading into thick bush. Oh, look at this now. While they're eating on a weeping wattle. It's a young bull, and it looks like it's wrestling with his mom. Just a gentle, and he's trying to steal some of her food from her mouth. Can you believe this? They are incredible animals. Also, look at how much thicker his tusks are than hers. That was so cool. And the mother seems to be winning this little confrontation, as she should be. Oh, cheeky boy. That bull, look at him swaying on his back legs. I don't know how much of this you're seeing. Again, I don't have a monitor, so it's tricky for me to know exactly what VM's filming, but regardless of what he is, I'm sure you are getting, now that even the younger sibling is reaching up and checking out what's going on. Oh, this is so great, because they were moving so quickly. I was concerned they were going to disappear into thick bush, but they stopped right out in the open here. Look at the rest of them coming up now and smelling the bull, using their trunks. Well, my mom seems to be looking at us quite intently, and the young bull seems to have found somebody else that he's interested in bullying. And a big cow and her calf passing by. I think this young bull's becoming sexually inquisitive, and that's why he's giving the female some attention. He is very young now, little boy. Maybe that was a yawn. I hope you saw that, Mr. Moustache. The mouth was wide open. I'm not sure if you guys noticed that, but that was a very unique view. I'm not sure if he was yawning. It would be incredible if he was, because we had the perfect kind of side profile and his mouth definitely was open. But it all happened quite quickly, so I'm not sure if you did get a glimpse of that. Just checking around now to see if there is any more elephants coming through, and it doesn't look like it. So they're all now moving into very thick bush. We are going to not be able to stay with them, but we may be able to get you one or two more views of them just melting away. I mentioned earlier that one of the big cows in this herd could be pregnant, but we're going to get you back to Karula. She's climbing up the tree.
Well, everybody, Karula's gone up the tree, and it is just wonderful to sit here and watch her like this. She's been lying on a very skinny, funny little branch, and people often think that leopards are arboreal creatures, that they like to be in trees. The main reason they like to be in trees, of course, is to do precisely what she's doing here, which is keep a pantry. but to lie down in a tree is not a particularly comfortable thing. As those of you who were with us this morning observed, I was in a tree, and there are all sorts of little spiky things all over the branches that stick into bits of your body, and if you've got a soft belly like Karula's, lying on the branches of a tree is not always the most comfortable thing. So they often only do it when they have a kill. And that's why she kind of lay down for a little bit, and now she's got up and she's moving around. But the amazing agility of them moving around in the tree is just spectacular. Look at that. I'll just back up a little bit. Brian, what do you think? We'll wait. We've got a nice gap there. I think we'll wait, everybody. I know we want to see her face, which is the best part of her. But let's just wait here, because I don't think she'll sit there for too long, or she might even go higher. Oh, look at that. Look at the wind blowing and that lovely, perfect jackalberry foliage. It's always slightly tinged with gold. It's like a green, beautiful green colour tinged with gold. So like I say, an 11-year-old female she's been mating quite a lot of late. I hope she's pregnant. She certainly tried 4 times with Tingana, one of the males that we watch, a 9-year-old male. She's had to kind of get in the queue because her daughter has also been mating with Tingana. That's perfectly normal, everybody. It's not a leopard soap opera going on out here. That's entirely within the ambit of normality for leopard social life. But we don't know if there's a problem with him or her, and she's 11, so it's not likely that if she were to have cubs now and bring them to term and raise them to independence, it's not likely that she would have another litter after that. Right, let's go back and just check in with Scott and the elephants. We'll stay with Karula.
So, some good news, the majority of the herd has disappeared off into thick bush behind us, but it appears that a small herd of elephant bulls is now trailing them, and that's not uncommon for the bulls to follow the females. There won't be one bull with his herd of females. The males will come and go from the breeding herds of ladies, and maybe 1 or 2 of these ladies are coming into season, and that's why these bulls are interested in following. Most of them are young, but they need to start somewhere. And on the topic of bulls looking for ladies, for mating opportunities, we've got a question through from Velma regarding elephants giving birth. The process obviously a little bit down the line after the bulls have in fact mated with the females who are in season. And Velma would like to know if there's any kind of specific behavior that you'll notice from an elephant cow just before she gives birth. What would you kind of expect just before that happens? Velma, it's a very good question, and one that I'm going to battle to answer, because only once have I actually seen elephants very shortly after giving birth. It's not something that I have ever seen, and many guides will work a whole career in the African bush and never see an animal like the African elephant giving birth. But the behavior we could notice, and from photographic sequences that I have watched, a lot of females will kind of look after and assist the pregnant female, because naturally she will be in some forms of discomfort and fatigue before giving birth. So there'll be a lot of attention between the other females around her, and there will also be obviously a lot of evidence between her back legs, the water breaking, and it can take quite a while for elephants to give birth. I've seen various sequences where females will be walking around quite a lot, but eventually will often lie down in order to get the final strength and ability to pop that little calf out. Hard to believe that they weigh around 100 kilograms when they are born, a young elephant, after 22-month gestation, Velma. Oh, there's some serious lightning off to the west. It could bring some rain. The clouds are getting dark and kind of gloomy above us, but it's too soon to panic. So yeah, Velma, I mean, a lot of attention. There will be a lot of kind of anxiety and tension in the herd. And once she does actually give birth, all of the cows that were assisting her in the labor process will actually stand together and corral around the newborn. There's a lot of inquisitive behavior with elephants and new additions to their herd, and they'll even be able to hold up the young calves with their trunks, as they've got very, very shaky legs in the first few hours and days of their life. Well, the majority of the herd's moving through thick bush, but there's this big bull now again who we saw last, and he's about to continue on through after this herd. Sorry guys, I'm just changing the radio frequencies because there's a lot of chitter and chatter coming through. I'm going to try and get us one more view of them, but I don't think we're going to get a great one. They're moving very quickly, and now that these bulls have joined up with the herd, they might even move faster. The bulls can sometimes make the females and their calves a little bit unsettled, and that could have even been why the herd was moving quite quickly or moving quite excitedly earlier. We weren't too sure what that behavior was about, and maybe it was messages being sent from these bulls indicating their intentions, and that's what got the females a little bit worked up. Very, very thick in here. Still no reports of where these wild dog are, so not too sure what's going on with them. But maybe it's simply because of the bad radio comms out here that I haven't been able to hear any updates. But not too much else going on at Arathusa, so I'm not sure where we're going to head after these elephants. Let's maybe have one last view of them from here. There's a few gaps off to the left. Hello Tutu in Las Vegas, and Tutu obviously didn't hear. I wasn't very clear with my explanation earlier, saying that elephants will most often lie down to give birth, There'll be a lot of standing around and moving about, but usually, from what I'm told, the final push is often done by the female when she is in fact lying down on the ground on her side. So, not like the giraffe tutu, who will give birth mainly standing up, and it's actually that thud onto the ground that helps to kickstart that baby giraffe into life. And most animals will actually lie down, from what I've seen, but it does vary. There will be stages where they're standing up and lying down, combinations of the two. And what's interesting is last year we actually managed to film 5 wildebeest births. And I was lucky enough to film one of those. It was my first drive on Safari Live. And it was also the first time I'd ever seen a wildebeest give birth. And it is the only wild animal that I have seen give birth. So that gives you an idea that it's not something that is commonly seen. I've spent a lot of time out in the bush through many, many calving seasons, and only once ever seen them give birth. So not too much insight into the subject of them giving birth, sadly. And it means at least now we'll be able to appreciate and understand that it is a rarity. And often zoos and places with captive animals have the best insights into wild animals giving birth, even though they are in captivity. At least in those controlled environments they can actually be seen and monitored. Whereas out here we usually miss that kind of action. I've also only ever seen elephants mating once. So that's another thing I would like to see again, and obviously share with you guys. That is a spectacle to behold. It's like a double-story house of passion. It's a colossal event, elephants mating. So it could happen at any stage. There's no strict breeding season for elephants because their gestation period is so long, 22 months, like I said earlier. You can understand that the elephants don't have the foresight to be able to plan that far in advance to give birth in a favorable season. Morning to Chris Rowe, and you stumped me with your question. Chris is asking whether elephants have a Jacobson's organ, also known as a vomeronasal organ, and it's basically an organ that helps decipher and understand smells. For a lot of the wild animals out here, lions have the Jacobson's organ, so do leopards, so do most of the antelope, and what they'll do is they'll flare their lips up or grimace, and it's usually quite a bizarre or funny face, hence the funny face that I've just pulled for you. Oh, just got a raindrop on my cheek, so that could mean problematic for later if the rain does continue. Anyway though, Chris, the elephant's organ, the elephant's Jacobson organ could well be present. But again, just like Mr. Moustache's question regarding the yawning, because of the elephant's trunk, we don't get to see their mouth very often, and because we don't get to see their mouth, or teeth rather, even if they were to curl their lips up in order to open up the Jacobson organ to allow it to better process smells, like lions and leopards will do, they'll flare up their lips and grimace, making that Jacobson's organ more effective. If elephants do it, we won't be able to see that. So I've never seen elephants performing what is called the Flehmen grimace, this funny lip curling, and therefore cannot be certain if they actually do have the Jacobson's organ. But I would like to think that they do, this is interesting stuff. I'm not sure if any of you have been back to Red Dam recently. The last time I was here and showed you this little pond, it was empty. But after the last rains, it's filled up a little bit. And I mean, it was actually completely bone dry. So, good news, the rains that we had a few days ago, and it looks like the rains that we are going to receive today, are going to be helping this very dry environment. We are experiencing a drought. Just seen something, no, it's just a branch on a tree there. I thought it may have been a little bird curled up on the tree. What I am going to look for now, though, are the African scops owl that live in this area. The raindrops are increasing with intensity. Not good news, but it's too soon to panic, and let's hope we stay dry. There's a tree straight ahead of us where we've learnt, we often see, oh, now the wind's coming. Sure. I'm not sure if you guys are noticing how much more strong the wind has started to blow. We're going to keep checking for any signs of these scops owl in this acacia tree and send you across to James, who's got some squirrels alarm calling.
Well, everybody, we've left Karula because there are monkeys alarm calling around here. We're just in front of Galago camp, and as the monkeys alarm call, so this big cloud that is starting to open itself up on Scott is coming overhead. I think we might get some rain this morning. The wind is starting to blow, and when it starts to blow from the northwest like it is now, that normally means there's a storm coming in. A morning storm, not that unusual, but less common than the afternoon variety. So we'll drive around here. We're going to stay pretty close to home, but that's okay because all the action's around here at the moment, and we'll just see if we can't pick up on whatever it was those monkeys were shouting at. But let's just, while we stop here and listen, I just want you to listen to the amazing birds that are calling here now. You see the batters? Chin spot batters. And that's a southern boo-boo that you can hear going. You can hear the wind. You could hear the orange-breasted bushwright. There's my favourite call, a southern boo-boo. There he is, Brian. You see him at the bottom of the spike down there. You just see him knocking about there. Not a particularly distinctive bird at all, but just such a... Have you got him there? There you go. That's well done. That's the southern boo-boo. Well done, Brian. Just love that call. Something about the tone. Marvellous. That and the white-browed scrub robin. Ooh, can you feel the wind? That's really exciting. Okay, let's keep driving around here. Karula is still in the tree there, very relaxed, very asleep. And I don't think she's going anywhere for the next little while. So we will go back to her, assuming the heavens don't open upon us. And we'll just drive around here and see if we can't see what those monkeys were shouting at. They were shouting in the trees just over here in this sort of dry riverbed that runs to the Djuma Dam. I'm thinking maybe Mvula, maybe another male, maybe one of Karula's sons, almost 3 years old. Maybe they've come back for their birthday celebrations. This is the drainage line, aka dry riverbed. And you know, I think this morning that I drove straight past Karula at one stage. They're so amazingly camouflaged. And so we'll just look very carefully around here. If there is a leopard, it might also be some lions, of course. Monkeys will alarm call at lions. But they have stopped calling now. And when they call, for those of you who haven't heard them before, they make a chattering sound. It goes... Oh, there we go. once more, Brian. That is an absolutely brilliant rendition. That's precisely what they sound like. So they aren't doing that at the moment. That was Brian. We'll just drive very slowly through here. Butterflies flitting about the place, and the birds go quiet when these storms come over and the clouds sort of sit down on the low veld, so the birds stop singing. And then when these little patches of sun open up and cover a bush or two in golden light, then they suddenly sit up and they start singing again, and it turns off. It's amazing. It's like the sun is the sort of conductor of the orchestra out here in the early morning. Now, we've been looking at Karula, and she's sitting in a tree, very relaxed and happy. And Reese713, that is your Twitter handle, I'm presuming not the name your mother gave you. Reese713, you want to know if Karula would stay in the tree during a thunderstorm. I think she probably would, you know. There's nice foliage up there, so she'll stay in the shelter. Leopards, like most cats, really don't enjoy being wet. Although they are very excellent swimmers, if they can avoid being wet, they won't engage in it. And so that's a pretty good place for her to be during the thunderstorm, so she may well rest up there. I'm sure it would be the safest option, given that our thunderstorms often bring with them quite a lot of electricity. But she'd probably be okay in there. Certainly, Reese, if they weren't sort of trying to find, if they weren't in a tree like that, they'd go in there and try and find some thick bush. So I'm not seeing anything around here, of course. No obvious tracks on the road. The odd spit of rain is starting to hit us. Ooh, force 10 gale. Face. Some lightning. While we're driving along looking for clawed and toothed predators, let's have a little chat with Ralph Sitar of the Great Lakes region of the United States, I think. You want to know about invasive plants and animals. Do we have them here? You say that they're a problem where you are. Ralph, we do have invasive plants, not so many in the reserve. There are a few. There are a couple of exotics. I wouldn't say that there are any real invasives, so we get some exotics which you pull out every so often, and you get them coming down the rivers every so often. When there's a flood, they come out of the kind of village areas, but nothing that kind of takes over, except for something called a water hyacinth. And when you go along to Arathusa Dam, you find that there is a water hyacinth there that is taken over almost completely, especially as it gets a bit drier and hotter and the dam levels go down, so that hyacinth does take over. But otherwise, we're pretty free of that sort of thing in this reserve. Yes, we do get things like lantana, which is a very beautiful little flower, but exotic, and it can become invasive, but it can be dealt with. The major problem with invasive species out here, of course, is that they drink so much more water than the indigenous ones, and what that does is lower the water table and make things very difficult. And in terms of animals, in terms of fauna, there's the odd bird. Again, Arathusa has been colonized by 2 Indian miners, which are a bird that certainly is invasive in our cities, but not so much here. You will also find domestic sparrows, house sparrows, around this area, and they of course are not indigenous, but nothing invasive, Ralph, nothing kind of that's really causing a major biological problem here. So I can't see anything of great import that would have created the consternation in the monkeys. Maybe it was a person in the camp, I'm not sure. So what we'll do is head back towards Karula. Bumps. And we had that magnificent shot from the drone earlier today. Drone Commander Andrew Francis, very excited to be back online. And B. Wilson, you say you can see how green things have become. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it just astonishing? Especially, I mean, even in the last 2 days, I'm sad we didn't have a picture from, say, 3 or 4 days ago when we had that big rainstorm. It's just incredible how the place has changed to this green mat, especially after yesterday when we had that lovely sunshine. So yeah, really incredible. And you were probably watching during the last time we had the drone up, which was just as we were coming out of winter, and it would have been a very, very different picture indeed. So I think we'll head back towards Karula now. No point kind of knocking about here without anything to follow. The monkeys do seem to have stopped alarm calling, and I don't see any tracks anywhere. I'd be interested to know from Scott how much rain he's having, because he was far away. It's quite a long way to the west. One of the most common things we get asked about, and actually Brent Leo Smith was driving this car yesterday, and that normally means that you've got all sorts of museum relics in the car by the time you get in it. There's a piece of snake skin, looks like it's probably from a cobra. Tom in Sydney, Ohio, an interesting one about snakes and us walking around. Do we have trouble with snakes? Sorry, Brian, let me make it easier for you. Tom, there are lots and lots of snakes that we do get here. That is the car of Eugene. I'm not sure where Eugene is. Lots of snakes around here, Tom, like this cobra or mamba perhaps that got rid of this piece of skin. But we don't see them a great deal when we're on foot. They're not actually a danger to us, Tom, mainly because they are very shy and they don't like to be around us. Somebody asked us, Tibbs asked me yesterday, I was climbing a tree, and he said, "You're not worried about a snake?" Well, I mean, there could have been a snake in there, but the snake is a much more adept climber than me, and as long as I'm not going to corner it, it will normally leave me completely alone. So, yeah, there are plenty of snakes out here, Tom, but we don't worry too much about them. Now, where is this leopard? She's moved, doesn't she? I can. See if we can spot it. I'm just going to stop here. And Brian will zoom in and around the tree and you'll see if you can see it. Such a clever place for living. See it, Brian? Yes, you will see her now. Keep looking there. You should. If you can't see her now, you're not looking carefully enough. She's in that picture. She's just there. Well done, Brian. Brian's got it. Look at her tail there. You can just see it hanging out of the tree. Isn't that great? There she is. That's wonderful. Better. looking down at Brian, staring down the barrel of the camera like all good TV leopards should. See the wind really starting to rush now. Isn't that beautiful? Look at the cloud behind there. Oh, that's gorgeous. So I think that she will spend some time in the tree now, again, probably thinking that the storm might come. It's a nice shelter from the wind as well for her. And she's also got a beautiful pillow rest where her face is kind of wedged between a fork and a stick. It looked like the most comfortable place in the world to be, I must say. So, in fact, you can see quite clearly there. So I said it wasn't necessarily very comfortable for leopards to be in trees. Certainly for her, I think that is the case. You can see it's not restful. It's very safe. She's obviously watching with interest the developments in the weather. And we were chatting a little bit earlier about the snakes with Tom, and Penny Pine. You want to know if a leopard would ever eat a snake? Penny, absolutely. Leopards eat pythons quite a lot. They tend to avoid the venomous kind, but I have seen a young male leopard playing with a black mamba, a living black mamba, so very fearless. If they can eat a snake, they will. Certainly a rock python would be a very good meal for a leopard. Right, well, Scott is we're kind of doing a repeat performance, both of us. We're with the leopard, and Scott is with another herd of beautiful elephants.
Isn't it funny that, like James says, we almost have a exact repeat of what we saw earlier. Karula and then a herd of elephants, then Karula again, now another herd of elephants. Although these ones have just changed direction and they also seem a little bit worked up. It could be this windy weather, it could be the anticipation of the storm that's around us. They also seem a little bit worked up though, and sadly they have just changed direction. They were heading towards the same boundary road that we saw the initial herd of elephant we were with cross over. Water around for them. Ian's just putting the blanket over the camera just to make sure it doesn't get wet. Let's see if I can't try and get through this thick bush in front of us. Let's see if we can't find a little opening to get us better positioned to enjoy this elephant sighting. Oh, well done, Jim. Can we show them what we really crashed into? Well spotted, Jim. That right there is an electrical pole or power line, and I wasn't expecting it to pop up right behind us. At least it probably would have been more excusable than the last time I crashed into a solid structure, which was a massive marula tree, and it wasn't while I was reversing, it was while I was driving forward. So that wasn't one of my proudest moments. I think we may just be able to squirrel our way through this bush, although No, it's not looking promising here. It's incredibly thick, and in this windy weather, with the breeding herd with lots of young calves, I don't want to be crashing through the bushes after them. At least we did get a glimpse though, and it goes to show just how timing is everything when on safari. And had we have driven down this road a minute after we actually did, we wouldn't have seen those elephants at all. Huge thank you to Penelope and Katrina, because they have confirmed that Chris Rogue's question about the Jacobson's organ or vomeronasal organ is in fact true. The elephants do have the Jacobson's organ, like most other animals out here, most other mammals, which helps better process smell. And like all the other animals or mammals in this area that do have the organ, it is in the roof of their mouth. So it was simply the fact that they do have this trunk that drapes over their mouth that makes it difficult for us to see them performing what is termed the Flehmen grimace, which is the action that allows the vomeronasal organ or Jacobson's organ to kind of open up and better receive those smells. So thank you so much, guys, for sharing your wisdom with us. It is the great thing about these live safaris. It's not just a handful of people out together in the bush, it's hundreds of us. And the collected brain power makes for wonderful knowledge sharing and fact sharing, and also sharing of stories and memories. That's one of the things that I love about being out here with all of you. Very different to being on a regular safari vehicle with a lot less people. Oh, big lightning bolt off to our left. Raindrops are falling a little bit more heavily. You can see the probably moisture building up on the dash here. And we're going to slowly make our way back towards the safety of Djuma, because we do have a lot of moisture. Oh, the rain is getting heavier here. We're going to give you one last view of Karula over on Quarantine with James, and we're going to cover this show up. I might not see you again, but if I do, I look forward to it. If not, thanks for joining in. This rain is starting to come down.
Well, the soft pitter-patter of the oncoming storm is starting to make itself felt. It's a lovely feeling on the skin for a little while, but not a very lovely feeling on the back end of these batteries, which will threaten to give us a lightning strike of our own if we stay out here. We will sit here a minute or two more with beautiful Karula. She's very much happy up in the tree. She hasn't moved since you last saw us. And I'll just quickly sneak around a little bit and see if we can't get out of the way of that tree that's obscuring her face. She seems she's in quite an interesting position there. How's that, right? And while we're looking at the leopard that looks like it's in sort of sweet comfort, Virginia and Kentucky, as with your house cat, no doubt, you want to know if big cats purr like that when they're happy. They don't have the equipment to do it, the vocal boxes or vocal cords, or voice boxes. But the one big cat that can is the cheetah, and the cheetah does purr. But all of the semi-big cats, like a caracal or a serval or an African wildcat, they can purr. But these big ones, the Panthera genus, so the leopards, the jaguars, the tigers and the lions, they are unable to purr. They just don't have the equipment to do it. And you hear the rain, everyone. So exciting being out here during this kind of weather. I of course didn't bring my rain jacket today because the weather report being a foul and contemptible liar, that would not say that there was going to be any rain. Look at her. I think it's time. Okay, Brian says, and Brian is the techno genius out here, so I'm afraid everybody that's going to be it. He says that things are going to get wet now, and we can't afford to take a risk with the, we can't take a chance with all the equipment. So we're going to head home, everyone. Sorry about that. If it does clear up, you'll probably see us again. Brian will just quickly show you where the rain's coming from. It looks pretty grey. The storms don't normally last that long out here, but we're not sure how long this one will. So wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your questions and comments. It's been lovely to talk to you. Wonderful to have the most magnificent sunrise this morning, the beautiful leopard, the thunder rolling in from the northwest. We will see you this afternoon. Stay safe and stay happy, and we'll keep an eye on the Djuma Dam cam for the rest of the day. And see you later. Bye-bye.